Welcome guys to another market day. It is 7/31/2020, the last day of the month and the day that a lot of stuff is going to expire as far as congressional help is concerned. And guess what? They did not come to an agreement, which is a very big deal. So at the beginning of today, what we saw was probably the market realizing that, hey, overnight we didn't get a deal. This morning we didn't get a deal. And what's more, they went on recess for the weekend. Now, what happened later on during the day? Around this time right here, when the market started to turn around, there was some talk. A few things happened. One, Trump decided to make his decision on TikTok as to what to do with the company. Whether or not you think he wants to do it because they actually got to him, etc., or whatnot, is regardless. What he's doing and what he decided to do was the following. He decided to basically not ban TikTok unless the company that owns it, which is a Chinese company, goes and divests from it and basically sells it to an American-based company. Now, who are the companies that are in contention? We don't know yet because they have to put in their bids. They have to work out what TikTok could possibly be worth. One of the names that came up early was Microsoft. So Microsoft saw basically a big jump in speculative value increase because, well, we know that TikTok happens to be dominating a lot of what is the social media of today. So if we look at MSFT, we do see that later on in the day, the stock started to rip. Now, this same stock was the one that did not do too hot when it went to report. So if we take a look at over here, after hours, when it went to report, it didn't do so hot compared to what the market wanted, which is different than whether or not it actually reported well. It actually reported $1.46. It made money over the second quarter, but its forward-looking estimates, etc., and whatnot probably wasn't that great, but it was being honest. Like, it was, it's doing what it's doing. But the market didn't like it because it saw that it had probably run up a lot over these past 6 months or 3 months since March. And so to say, hey, you know what, we're happy to just, start selling here and taking our profits, right? Well, now, since Microsoft also let go of Mixer, which is a streaming site that where video games are being played, a lot like Twitch, which Amazon owns, now Microsoft needs a different play to the 18th to 32 demographic. One of those plays could be basically buying TikTok, which is a social media site, instead of having a different kind of social media site, which was Mixer, which they created from scratch. So they could just buy a social media play instead of having to construct one from scratch, which they may or may not know how to do. So that's why you saw a large discrepancy between basically the direction that it was going, considering that where the economy might be going, versus the news of the day in terms of TikTok being possibly banned and or the decision of it, and then being in contention for buying TikTok. That was basically all of this right here. This jump right here with just having the being in contention was worth about 2.4%. I think that's what was going on. So those are my observations. There's probably a few more that did well during the day. One of them was Apple. Apple was one of the very few stocks in the tech sector that not only got to its new all-time highs, fresh all-time highs, but continued the trend today. So they're not out of the woods per se. I heard somebody say that they were basically now de-risked for the rest of the year, which I don't think is the case, because there's still the factor that new legislation could come out in terms of how they're going to go ahead and how they're going to control what Apple is doing in the future in terms of its growth and whether or not they're being too aggressive in their growth. So that's what Apple is doing. Well, I think, yeah, there may still be some risk with Apple. going into the new 5G market. We'll see whether or not people still have enough disposable income into the new year to be able to warrant to buy a new $1,200 phone with 5G connectivity like that other phones already have. Like, there's already a bunch of phones that already have that jump, you know. There's already a lot of people that may have already bought a 5G phone that don't necessarily want to jump into an iPhone simply because it has 5G. We'll see what happens, but the market is anticipating a lot of new growth in terms of sales, so we'll see how that goes. Apart from that, what else happened today? Let's go back to the NQ. Any other stories that happened? No, but Congress right now is as of the last that I heard, still had a wide chasm, is what they're saying, between basically the 1 trillion and the 3 trillion that Democrats want to spend. And that argument is very interesting because there may be a perceived stiffness from Democrats and not trying to consider what Republicans put forth, but Democrats already had a plan put forth for the last couple months, and Republicans haven't done anything. If anything, they didn't really even give or adopt barely anything from what was inside of the Democrats' bill. And they just put out their own ideas and a bunch of new ideas which don't make any sense and seem actually pretty cruel, because one of the things that they're trying to shoehorn in there and say that has to be in the bill or else they're not going to sign it, is this amendment that's basically saying, or it's an amendment to existing insurance law that lets people get basically liability insurance for coronavirus cases. And yeah, so but how it's read out, or the effects of the bill, basically makes it so that if you work for somebody, you can't sue them if by making you work you end up getting coronavirus. But if you go to work sick and you have the virus and get other people sick, they can sue you. So they make the exchange very one-sided, and that doesn't seem very fair at all. If there should be liability insurance, you should cover it both ways. There should be somebody trying to cover the worker as well, and that seems obviously one-sided. And with people also not being able to have their unemployment benefits extended, if there isn't hazard pay, if the economy's going downhill and people feel like they have to take the job that they got and they're not going to be taking their chances out in the job market because, well, heck, there's a lot of unemployed people, they're going to feel like they're forced to work and to have to go to work even if they are sick, which they don't know whether or not they do have the coronavirus, because testing for the average Joe doesn't exist to where you could get a response within 24 hours or quicker, unlike the NBA, which they pay for and are investing in a new, quicker type of testing. There's a lot of ways you can try and excuse the fact that some people may have quicker testing available to them, but the fact is that the average Joe doesn't have it, and so the decisions in which they make off of the available information that they have is to the detriment of, a safe working environment. It's just, it doesn't exist, and people are going to be in this place where they're going to have to make those kinds of decisions, and it could be a decision that could take their own life, apart from somebody at work, which I'm sure they don't want to be responsible for. So it's an overall bad situation. But anyway, that's the world we live in, and this has been your market day. So thank you guys very much for stopping by, and I will catch you guys next week. So stay safe, stay healthy as much as you can, and until next time, take care.